Hey gamers, welcome back to another episode of Part-Time Gamers Club. I'm your host Gio. Alongside me is Gerard and Mike. Say what's up, fellas.
What up?
So,
On today's episode, we're going to be speaking about the backlash involving Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed Shadows. Um, just to give you guys a little insight, those of you who haven't heard about it, basically, Japanese folks are very upset with Ubisoft's portrayal of the Assassin's Creed Shadows game and their culture. So through some posts that I seen on Instagram, I brought it up to the fellas here and wanted to touch on the matter because I realized it was more of an issue than I originally had thought. So just to give you guys a little insight, obviously Assassin's Creed, I was excited about it initially at the game showcase where we talked on that episode. I know Gerard was excited about the game, ironically. I guess he was ahead of the curve before we knew about what was really going on.
I knew it
But
was going to
basically,
happen.
but basically, they're really not happy with the inaccuracies shown to their culture, and that's understandable. I understand from just my history with my own race, and just understand that people can be proud folks. So history is an important thing when it comes to the Japanese folks. So Ubisoft has some major concerns and issues in that game involving the accuracy of the history portrayal of Japan. So, guys, what do you think Ubisoft, if they will or can do anything to rectify the matter? Is there anything they can do at this point with it being so far into development and this close to release? Because I believe it's supposed to be released November of this year. Gerard, how about you start?
Sure. So the official release date is November 15th,
Mm.
and the allegations made against the game range in multiple aspects. So one of them is that Yasuke is not, uh, or in the fiction that is Assassin's Creed Shadows, Yasuke is a samurai appointed by Nobunaga, but in actual history, he was not a samurai, which is a title given to basically swordsmen who were just be basically appointed straight to and just straight answer to a lord of a region, in this case Nobunaga. It, and the Japanese are very, very, I don't want to say sensitive, but very tied to and close with samurais and their heritage and history. Lineage means a lot to them. So I mean, you can see it in their culture every day. They even have the way they address people is always by last name, because family name is the most important way to talk to yourself. Only when you are talking personally is when you're close to someone, and that's when you will say their first name. So in order to change Yasuke to not be a samurai, the story would have to be rewritten. You would have to do new voice lines. You would have to do possibly even new cutscenes. Those would take way too much. I don't want to say way too much time, but they would take time and money to reiterate those, and they would definitely have to delay, because those would definitely, in my thoughts, I don't know how much they address it, but in my thoughts, that's about like 3 to 4 months of work, and then you would have to refine it and bug test and QA again afterwards. So it would definitely delay the game for just that change alone. They're the
What,
other
just
change,
rework it?
huh?
Like reworking the whole game?
I don't even know if it has to be the whole game, because again, it is two protagonists, but you would have to rewrite the scripts. You would have to redo voice lines. You would have to re-render cutscenes. You would have to do even possibly even change the character models. In that regard, all of that is a lot of work. So, yeah, go ahead, Gio.
I wanted to say, before I give you some more information and kind of see what you have to say on that.
Hmm?
I pretty much thought about all that when that you said, because I was like, man, if they did that, it's gonna be a lot of work, and it's gonna be delayed for quite a bit of time. So my question is, will it be worth it to actually take that hit? Because right now, the way it's trending and the way it's looking financially, they're looking at a loss one way or the other. Now, do you save face with an entire country potentially? Or do you just worry about the bottom line? That's the because that could potentially impact the rest of your games in that country because of the disrespect that they feel. That's not a few people, that's not, they're clearly feeling some type of way to the point where like I said earlier off camera was they're really unhappy about that trailer. They're really unhappy about the game and the portrayal of their culture. So if Ubisoft doesn't do something, there's clearly going to be a long-term effect.
Mike, what are
mean-
your thoughts? 'Cause I have.
Well, I did want to ask Mike too, because
I want Mike to answer first.
yeah, Mike understands, because it's very sensitive matter. Very proud folks. Even Chinese culture is very proud folks. They're just proud people.
Yeah, I mean the culture they're very serious about it. So, since I did live in Japan, I witnessed firsthand like their cultures and traditions. They don't normally handshake. How we normally Westernized, we handshake out of respect. They bow. They don't normally shake other people's hand. So their culture is very enriched in that country. So, but to talk about like if Ubisoft is gonna make any changes, or they're gonna take the bottom hit. I mean, this is gaining steam from what Gio's been telling us, and it looks like it's definitely a serious matter. But would it affect their operations? I'm sure they have like a numbers guide to kind of like analytics and see if the hit is worth it. But personally, I don't know if they would. I don't know if they would change any of it.
So let me provide you a little context for you and Gerard. So to give you an idea, like to how big of an issue this is. All right. The original video, the original trailer, has like 290,000 likes versus 753,000 dislikes. Now that's just the trailer, the American trailer. The trailer that they released for Japan only has like 5,000 likes and a whole bunch of dislikes.
51,000 dislikes.
Yeah. To give you an idea, though, a comparison, to give you an idea of how the Japanese really feel about it and how bad it is, watching a Japanese reactor who barely has, at the time of the video being posted, he barely had over 2,000 subscribers. He's over 3,000 subscribers. He has over 91,000 views. His video alone has more likes, over 8,000, than the Ubisoft video for Japan that has over 400,000 views. So he has less than a fourth of their views and has more likes than that video already. With numerous folks commenting on his video, including as well as Ubisoft's videos, with their discontent and how they feel about it. So that's why I asked you, would it be worth it in the long run? Because clearly there's a lot of folks upset about it. This is not a small numbers game. Now, the petition part is not as many folks, obviously. It's like 60-something thousand, but it's trending upwards. Clearly, there's a huge number of folks that are unhappy about it. And as it gets, I think I was going to ask you this, Gerard, too. Like, I think I mentioned it earlier today. Like, what happens if that information gets to the higher ups of Japan and it becomes a political thing, and there's political pressure put on Ubisoft from Japan and even on Sony? Because I asked you, would Sony not even put the game on their platform because Japan was dearly that upset about it? You said you've never seen that in the history. So that's why I'm asking, does Ubisoft try to save face? Because clearly they're very upset as a country.
So it'd be unprecedented if that would recur. If Japanese company would reach out to Sony to stop Ubisoft from putting the game on their platform. But I don't think the Japanese government would. If anything, it'd be Sony. The Japanese government wouldn't put pressure on Sony. Instead, it would put pressure on Ubisoft because the government would have even a bigger influence and just outright ban the game from ever being sold in. So it would just block imports, which would be a better remedy than just reaching out to Sony and just stopping PlayStation. It would be Sony's decision whether or not they wanted to be sold on PlayStation consoles. With that being said, I don't think the Japanese government would ban the game. Now, yes, they would probably complain. The reason why I don't think they ban the game is not because of like other countries' pressures or anything like that, but I do think it's not an attack on their culture, it's a disrespect of their culture, which they probably know that their people won't buy the game anyway.
Yeah,
so
I agree with that. Like, I don't think they're gonna be. They have bigger fish to fry than kind of something like to deal with this. When the countries as a whole is going to deal with it on their own ways and on their own terms. So yeah, I don't think any political or anything from the government is going to play a big role into this. But even if they were to like redo everything, as Sharad said, they already took a hit, and I think the initial hit, it's already kind of leaving a sour taste for other people. Like, well, why you didn't do this from the beginning? So you're gonna lose customers there already, and potential customers, because I'm not gonna play the game.
I can tell you right now, I'm gonna stand by the Japanese folks because, Gerard, we're Puerto Ricans, we're very proud people. If we felt disrespected as a people, we stand together as a people. That's just Puerto Ricans in general. We always support each other. We always support, successful Puerto Ricans. So I don't know per se, but I have a good understanding that Japanese are very proud people, and if they're going to take a stand, that's why I said if the country decides that's a huge market of gaming for Ubisoft that they would lose. What do you think is more worth it, to either take that hit of potentially losing that country as a market in general, or delaying the game and just avoiding the whole thing and seeing, oh, maybe they'll get over it? I don't think they will, though.
Well, get over it if they would just release the game and just have it.
Yeah, like if they just completely ignored what the Japanese folks had said, even with some of their comments, which we'll touch on that Ubisoft has released statements that are not making them look any better either. Like, they're making the Japanese actually more angry with them.
Well, I would say Ubisoft is not well known for their PR, the department or the CEOs, because they've had troubles in the past with Rainbow Six Siege, with their Division 2. They've also not been one to backtrack on decisions, even bad ones. So I would say that history would say they won't do it, but history also has seen many times where they've screwed up. So at a certain point, maybe they'll learn their lesson. Maybe this is the time they change. But I don't think they delay and do nothing. Either they're releasing the game on November 15th, or they delay the game to make changes. The problem we have, and they have actually two unknown problems, or to like this. We have the petition, yes. The Japanese people are upset. The answer to that would be to delay the game and fix the problems. We don't know the fixes for that. It could be what I've described, or it could even be worse. It could be a lot of changes. We don't know. We don't know how long that delay is. But if they do delay the game to make those changes, then we have to consider the other markets, the other audiences, specifically the Western audiences that don't care about the Japanese culture, but they do care that the game is delayed. So those I'm not gonna call them insensitive, but I would call them ignorant. People would put pressure on Ubisoft as well, and either way, it's a lose-lose. So, what would be the best case scenario? Ubisoft delays the game for just translation purposes and fix just scripts, but don't or keep in like some fictional things and things like that. But that would hurt the Japanese market as well. And they just take a neg in the Japanese market rather than take a neg worldwide. So that's what they come down to. Do you lose one country or do you hurt your bottom line everywhere?
Well, here's a question. Do you think this is just me just thinking out loud, just, do you think maybe other Asian countries would support Japan in that? Because, I know if Ubisoft did something like that with maybe, say, China, we know China would take a whole different route, but they would not stand for it.
China's a different beast, okay? Japan would complain, put up a petition. China would just straight ban your game from entering the company. That has happened before. China has banned many games from being in there. They even have certain games, gacha games like Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, or other genres like that. MOBAs, League of Legends is even different in Japan. Companies will develop a different client specifically for China. So China is a different beast. But China won't. An example is China won't ever also back up Japan. Neither will the other Asian countries, because there's a lot to go over. But unless you are Japanese, the Asian cultures don't really look at other countries and have that same we're family or anything like that. There's no connection, there's no bond there. They're all and this is a funny thing to say because this has happened, if you don't know, in the Japanese trailer, they put Chinese characters, they put Mandarin as subtitles. I also think it was they probably confused it with katakana, not katakana, excuse me, kanji, instead of putting katakana and hiragana in. But that right there is kind of borderline, and this may be a little bit of a far stretch, but just as my third, a little racist, a borderline racist, because there is that dumb trope where it's all Asian people are the same, no matter if you're Chinese, Japanese, Korean. Mm-hmm. You look the same, therefore you are the same. And that stereotype, that trope, has angered every one of them. Well, they hate being compared and they hate being confused. So
I'm glad you mentioned that, because Ubisoft, in their statement, basically made it seem as if the Japanese people were being malicious and hateful with their response, obviously because there's a black protagonist, but that's not even what bothers them. Not even close to what bothers them. It's the fact that they're labeling somebody that's a samurai that was never in any historian's books or anything like that labeled a samurai at any point in history. On top of that, he was only in the country for a year and a half. Out of anybody they chose in history for Japan, choose a guy that's only been in the country a year and a half, and they don't even historically get it accurate. And then you basically offend them by trying to, as they feel, you're trying to hide behind a black character and trying to now pin it on them as being racist, which, if anybody knows, Japan is probably one of the more relaxed Asian countries when it comes to things like that, in a sense. They're not so they're not, how can I say?
While you're taking a thought to think right there. No, they are not the most relaxed country. If anything, I would like to say the history of Japan is them mostly being racist. They have gone through World War II is a good example. the rape of Nanking. They could see themselves as superior than all their other neighbors, but then even before that, they were isolationists. They believed no foreign people could be on their land, and even to this day, there is still some I don't want to say hatred, but more like disdain towards for foreigners visiting them. It also kind of in Europe as well.
Mike on that, because Mike lived there. Did it seem that way, Mike?
If I remember correctly, Mike was in Okinawa, which was on the military base, right? Or was that you were a different part?
I was in Okinawa, but I traveled to. I traveled in Japan.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was your perspective on their outlook on other cultures and stuff like that in their country? Were they more welcoming? Were they?
I've never really encountered any issues going around, but I mean, because
Obviously,
there's always gonna be selective, few selective people,
Yeah, that's ignorant people in any place, anywhere in the world.
And it could also be the elderly feel differently than
That here in America too.
It's different. But the majority is Japanese people, but so it's not like they have like a very. I mean, there are blacks and other races that's there, that lives there and are there, but it's not like a lot, like how America is. So I never ran into any issues. I've never seen any issues. They just work hard and play hard. I guess.
They just go about their business. They just go about their daily routine. That's why I don't think they're bothered by Yasuke at all.
No, 100% not. I don't think so, because like Yasuke, even Nobunaga was interested in the aspects and appeals and like the person of Yasuke. They knew like Yasuke was a thing. We've had the Last Samurai movie. Like, I mean, the Japanese complained about that movie too, but they knew the historical accuracy of Yasuke, but it's not that much of a problem that Yasuke exists. It's more of a problem on how the samurai class is being treated in this case. So,
and then on top of that, there's because you were mentioning about like delaying the game. Some more insight for you too is like some of the structures that they put in the game are inaccurate, as well as they show Yasuke walking through the town, right? And he's a random warrior. And people are just randomly bowing to him, like as if Japanese bow to every samurai they see, even if they don't know him, which really threw him off too. Like, so they're watching this and they're like, this is very inaccurate, a lot of what they were seeing. And then they were also mentioning the fact that there's like, they don't walk around in armor. They don't walk around in armor. Armor is only when you go into battle.
Yeah, they had their hajikaris or
they carried their swords, but they weren't in armor at all times. So I think there's a lot to there. The only thing, now that you mentioned it, and I remember the release date now, you said November 15th. If Ubisoft pushes it back, they're missing the holiday season.
Yes, that's
and
true.
I don't think they're going to want to do that.
Yeah.
Because then they would have to wait to the following holiday season. In reality, if they want to try to make back the sales.
Excuse me, I would like to make a correction. It was they were everyday clothes kimonos there.
Yeah.
The one I mentioned was their suicide pack wear.
So, but what do you think? In your honest opinion, Mike and Gerard, do you think they should push it back and make the corrections? Or do you think they're just going to go through with it? Not that they should, but do you think they're going to do it? Anyway,
you asked me two different questions. I want you to know. You asked me, should I think? Or excuse me, do I think they should push it back? And then you asked me, do you think they will do that, or will they push forward? Like, I think they should push it back. Do I think they will? Probably not.
Maybe you have a track record of them of not them.
Ubisoft does not
I didn't
Take
realize
well
it
to
either, Mike.
criticism.
But reading comments, apparently Ubisoft gets a lot of heat because they are not a very
It's not
like
that
Gerard said. They need a good PR team.
they have the worst history with PR, man.
So with the track record of them,
Very
I don't
bad,
think they're
very
they're
bad.
gonna
Yeah,
push it
I
back.
don't think
So,
either.
so I think that's a clear answer that even we all would know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously. I just wanted to see what you guys think. The funny thing is already their stocks have taken a hit. So even though we say one country, because you said they would lose out in the Japanese market, right? Let's say they do.
Yes.
They take a big hit in that market.
Yes.
That means they're gonna not meet their projected sales. They're not gonna meet their profit.
Oh yes, I would business side of it. I won't say I know anything about, but I do see the domino effect of if like this game is going to sell badly, which means my returns on my stocks are going to do badly. It's best to sell high. Then they'll sell their stocks, and then other people will follow suit. And as the stocks go lower, other people will follow, and then they'll have to try to regain that. But the only way to regain trust would be to make sure that the game sells well, and then after the game sells well, the stocks will go up. But we won't know until after November 15th on that regard. So until they show some kind of public, I don't want to say outcry, but public response to both the petition and the backlash that the Japanese people have done, it's going to continue falling. So,
well, I don't know if you guys got anything else that you came across. That's pretty much everything that I've come across and noticed and that been brought to my attention just on the research that I've done. I'm with you guys. I don't think they're going to push it back. I think it's going to be a bigger deal, but not like you said. I think they're going to focus on the Western Hemisphere and try to save face as best as they can there. I think they'll still hurt in sales there too, though, because obviously, you got Japanese folks all over, and especially a big population on the West Coast, even of America. So they could potentially take a hit even here. Not huge, but somewhat of a hit. So, if you guys don't have any closing thoughts,
nope.
All right. Gamers, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any feedback involving the Ubisoft drama, let us know what you guys think. And if you guys feel like Ubisoft should push it back or will push it back, or definitely they won't care and just will move on with their project, let us know. That's it for us. Peace.
Later.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Part-Time Gamers podcast. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And follow us on our other social platforms on TikTok, Instagram, and Discord. Links for those will be provided in the description. Thank you again. We will see you on the next episode of the podcast. And make sure you make some time for video games. Peace.